Wow, that looks great.
Yeah, great texture, great color.
I like the sort of shadowy, you know, I don't know, dappled light in the left corner.
And it's the epitome of a still life, just a lot of objects giving us a sense of mood or feeling, trying to tell a story.
Yeah, what's the rope thing?
It's actually for calf roping. Got it from a ranch in Montana. Ordered it on eBay, it was only $6.
There you go. Props on eBay, $6, everybody. Okay, let's talk about how we make this look good.
We're using a very small light source. You can see where there's shadows being cast, especially coming off of these metal products. This is an old railroad spike here. This is just a spring with a lot of rust. You can see the shadow, see how well it's defined. Small light source. In this case, we're using the Alien B just with the standard reflector, no grid.
And the reflector so that light spills out beyond our set so that we can cast shadows onto our set, and we can use mirrors and reflectors from outside of frame to reflect back onto the subject too.
And this shadow area here, how it's a little darker, a little brighter here, trying to aim the light toward the center of your subject so you get some natural fall off. We've also created some shadows over here that we'll show you with a cuculoris. Cuculoris is just a solid panel with holes cut in it to try and simulate light coming through the leaves of a tree.
So you want to take out the reflectors now and show them without reflected light?
Yeah, we can do that. Over here, also Steve placed in a mirror with a couple of blocks in front of it that created these shadows, which we'll show you. If he pulls out the blocks now, you'll see how the light looked just coming from the mirror.
Okay, go ahead. That's without the, with the mirror.
Yeah, we'll show you just the mirror without the shadows from the blocks. See how it's much broader now, wider spread? Now we'll show them with the mirror taken out. We got that out. Thanks, Steve. And you see, look how dark that shadow went. Much more dramatic. Also, it was filling this hand drill here also. And so we started to lose detail there. If we were to open up the exposure to try and get more detail, it's going to compromise our shot. We open up F13. We were taking another shot. See how much lighter it got just to get detail here in this hand drill? But everything else starts to look pretty flat without that nice drama that we had before. Go back to our exposure change of F16. Now this area over here has this cuculoris in it. I said it's a cutout that's casting some shadows.
Let's take that out and show them what it looked like before we put that in.
All right.
There you go.
Now you can see how bright it is there. Without the cuculoris, there are a lot of hot spots that will attract our attention away from our subject. Now, essentially what we were doing was vignetting, trying to get the viewer to go toward the center of our composition. But you see, we got to work the outside and work the shadow to bring those values up.
I'm going to quickly backtrack. So this is where we started. We put the cuculoris in just to vignette the top left corner, but not just a solid gray, darkening, but something with a little bit of dappled light. We confirmed that the exposure we had was the best exposure. And we added a mirror. And the mirror was nice, but we wanted to actually give it a little bit more interest and break up the big, broad, bright spot down in the lower right-hand corner. So we used some blocks to do that. And there's the final image.
And the key is to have rough objects, a rough background. This works well because everything in here is rusted. This rope is old. You might notice that these are dice from a poker game. They're randomly in there just to take up the space compositionally. You might notice a little color here on the rope. What I did was I took some pastel chalk and rubbed it on the rope and then took a towel to it to make it blend in. And the same thing over here on the gloves. The gloves were not that dirty. They were brand new when I got them, actually about 6 months ago. And I rubbed some color on them to make them look like they were worked, went out in the garden and dug in the dirt.
You know, Craig, I like what you're doing. When you're zooming in like this, I think it really shows a great example of that texture that's really coming out of the rope, the wood, the gloves. So be sure as you're shooting your picture, you zoom in and so you can really pick up on that texture. You know your light's in the right spot, you know your exposure is right, and you know your fill line is right.
And don't feel that you have to crop as tight as we did, or as loose as we did. You can be a little tighter. We did this just so you could see how our lighting effect is, but obviously not in Lightroom and post, but you could zoom in a little tighter.
Absolutely.
And make your composition something like that.